bring the hookers in to break the tension. Who needs some 7 diamond tricks? Anybody? This is, I mean, what's happened?
Well, since you brought up, let me ask you a question about that.
As a New Yorker, I'm offended by that.
What's your theory, Stephanie? Let's go to Spitzer for a second. What's your theory? This is a guy who has been a crusader his whole life. You know, the easy way to ask is, what could he possibly be thinking? Obviously, he wasn't thinking, but what is going on?
Well, first of all, I understand he came on the Mayflower. Thank you. Good night, everybody. That's the Mayflower Hotel. Okay, I know. It is, you know, there's nothing like a good bipartisan hooker scandal. I think you're right. It's always the hypocrisy that gets these guys, isn't it? Than necessarily, because you're right.
Well, here it was the wire transfers, I think.
He wrote the law. These prostitution rings. So I think. I think the thing that everybody always feels the worst for is the family, when you have the press conference and we're going to spend time on, repairing you're going to spend time with your dick in a vice in the basement.
But every single time this happens, the wife...
You said that on C-SPAN. We can overanalyze this. The guy wanted to get laid by a hot young babe, and he's arrogant enough to think that being in a high position, he can get away with anything he wants, and that's...
But the talk radio
Sister on the panel, can we watch your language, please?
The hot, from a talk radio standpoint, the hot subject, no pun intended, was this guy has been frequenting a lot of prostitutes in 10 years. What's his wife doing? What do you have to do to get thrown under the bus? What is she thinking? That was the hot story, at least on our show. People wanted to talk about.
Well, why don't you ask Hillary? She
Well,
might be able to answer that question.
This is why we have the vetting process in this country, because someone like that could be in a position to have to make a judgment and end up being blackmailed.
You know, the other thing, Ed, that's important about it is it forced so many of us to rethink math, because if you divide $4,000 per hour by 60 minutes, it's just unfathomable.
I don't know what he did with the other 58 minutes.
What do you get for $4,000 a night? That's what that was the part that our listeners were stuck on. Is the whole, he might want to do some stuff that's unsafe. Like, what is that called? Like, yeah, we're going to need the Great Dane and the Duracell battery pack and the trampoline. That's going to be a little extra. Bring your own helmet, Governor.
But it's sad, though. I mean, this is what we call passes for celebrity. This girl will be a celebrity.
Yes.
Young girls will want to have their picture taken with her, like Monica Lewinsky. And what is her claim to fame? She was with the governor of New York in a hotel room, and it's ridiculous.
Judith Regan wants to do a book with her. She's been there, done that,
George, can I ask you a question?
Sure. I don't know if I'll answer it.
The answer is they never paid more than $2,500.
Do you agree with me that Obama missed a great opportunity here? Because Hillary, when asked, couldn't say, I think he should resign. All she could say was, well, we'll see. Because she had her own problems. Obama should have come out and said, if this is true, if the charges are true, I think that the governor should resign immediately, and I challenge the senator from New York to go along with me on that. But instead he said, I don't want to touch that. I don't want to answer that.
No,
That's old-style politics.
What's that?
I disagree with you.
Why?
Well, for the reasons you guys were talking about before, one of the things that works for Obama is that he has a cool personality, and people tend to like that right now. They don't want things to be heated up too much in this presidential race. Had he done that, I think it would have been seen as a low blow, and I think it would have backfired pretty badly. Jim?
At least in David Patterson, the people of New York have a man whose head won't be turned by a pretty face.
That's an anti-handicap statement. I think we have a good person. I mean, I think that, I've got problems with blaming women for their husbands. I mean, I think that, in all due respect to Hillary, I don't think that you can blame her or Mrs. Spitzer for this. That's a little.
But she really had no choice for the girls, how to come out.
I mean, that was a little much, but I think everybody was in shock. I mean, one of the reasons I think that both Mrs. Clinton and Obama didn't rush to judgment is no one could believe the story for 48 seconds. I mean, everybody was saying, tell me, another shoe's got to drop somewhere and explain this. And I think that a lot of people were shocked. And then when the calls started going around, that he's going to resign. No one wanted to look like
Well,
they
I
were
think
pushing
that- I
him
think
over
that
the
was
cliff
the-
when we knew he was
Al,
going
you
to
think
go.
no one
Yeah.
believed that story when it first broke, when they said he was on the wiretap of the FBI? No one believed it?
No, they believed it was, they just were shocked.
They were shocked at the details as they were unraveling, and I no more than I think when you've had scandals here in Washington, it takes 2 days or 3 days for people to really believe the senator in the bathroom. I mean, people don't automatically think they've heard the whole story.
He still doesn't believe it.
That was the bipartisan part. Is Democrat, Republican, he's too stupid to be governor. Should I sign the check, governor of New York? I don't think anyone will figure that out.
Well, I just want to take the observation. We're all sitting here, we're all talk radio and everything. And what we're doing, we're not having a debate. We are all acting as the campaign managers of the candidates. And I just want to make the observation that Barack Obama has done very, very nicely without her assistance. I mean, I'm completely opposed to it politically.
Let me ask you a question about the business of this thing, because I've always wondered about this. Is it better in your world, and I'll ask you the question first, Gordon, would you rather have a Republican in the White House or a Democrat?
I would rather have a Republican, assuming that Republicans subscribe to the general principles of.
But then you lose all your edge, and you lose.
What?
Then don't you lose all your edge and all the friction in the show?
Let me. I think I can speak.
I like to think that the people that I talk to are pretty smart. You know some of the smartest guys. I have this huge following on 18-wheeler pilots. I mean, they're there, they're doing mile after mile after mile, and they're thinking all the time.
I gotta give you credit.
And
I don't think I've ever said this to you, but I did your show when my book came out. Your show sold a lot of books.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
It doesn't matter who's in the White House. When we started Progressive Talk back in January of 2004, everybody was saying, well, gosh, after the election, what are you guys going to have to talk about? Well, here we are in 2008, and we're doing comedy.
So you don't think it would be tough for you to
No,
drop
you've
them
got to have, it's got to be fire in the belly. You've got to have a great take. You've got to have passion. You've got to get after it. You've got to do a great radio show. It doesn't matter who's in the White House. It's the issues. It's the people.
Yeah, I think Ed is absolutely correct. And listen, we're getting away from the fact that